What's up, you guys? I'm finally making my second YouTube video here on this channel, and today I'm going to be talking about the main differences between the two larger satanic groups, the Satanic Church and the Satanic Temple. Did I say that right? I think so. Basically, these are the two biggest groups, the two most well-known groups of Satanism. Of course, there are some others, and I will address those briefly at the end of the video, but I just want to cover these main two first because they are the most well-known. So I'm going to start off talking about the Satanic Temple because I have addressed it, well, I've kind of addressed both of them in my last video already, but the Satanic Temple was kind of the first one I found. I knew of the Satanic Church before, but this one is the founders of the seven tenets of Satanism, which is what I first found that really sparked my interest in pursuing this religion legitimately. So a lot of people think that Satanists believe in Satan, like he's an actual person or God or demon or whatever. But the Satanic Temple does not recognize an actual devil, and they don't do any sort of devil worship. They see Satan more like a symbol. He's a metaphor. And the Satanic Temple actually wishes to divorce religion from supernatural and superstition. Satan represents rational inquiry, critical thinking, eternal rebellion, personal sovereignty. It rejects arbitrary authority, counterproductive traditional norms, and archaic tradition based on superstition. Satanism provides that all that religion should, without the compulsory attachment to untenable items of faith-based belief. You know, you don't have to kind of, I don't know, and I guess not everybody who does believe in the supernatural gods and stuff, they're not really pushing it. It is what they truly believe. But they're rather pushing scientific boundaries to make what they believe to be true when it's so obviously disproven with scientific fact. Satanism never wants to disprove scientific fact or try to change it in any way. It has nothing to do with the supernatural world. It provides a body of symbolism and practice, a sense of identity, culture, community, and shared values. Satanists of the temple believe in reason, empathy, and the and the pursuit of knowledge, as well as the seven tenets that, again, I covered in my first video. They do not follow the Satanic Bible. They don't have an actual one book that they follow word for word. They do have a set of books, though, that they suggest people who are interested in learning about their version of Satanism to check out. So I'll go ahead and tell you guys what some of the books are, but you can definitely check out their website. I recommend checking out their website anyway. Some of the books, though, that they do recommend are Paradise Lost by John Milton, America, A Prophecy by William Blake, Essay on the Devil and Devils by Percy... I don't know how to say that. I'll put the names of the books and the authors up here so you guys can see them. And Cain, A Mystery by Lord Byron. I personally haven't read many of these. I did read Paradise Lost when I was in high school, but I didn't read it from a Satanist's perspective. And there are links to actually all of these books. I'm not sure if it's just online purchasing, or I know some of them did have actual PDFs, PDF links on the Satanic Temple website. Alright, so a lot of people get, because they hear, oh, well, you don't worship an actual Satan, an actual god or demon or entity at all, so do you perform rituals still? Is there still magic? And this isn't true for all groups of Satanists, and of course even the individual Satanists. And the Satanic Temple does make a point to say that the rituals they do perform are not mandatory, and you don't have to perform any kind of ritual to be a Satanist. And there's also not one particular way to practice each ritual. So it was really kind of difficult to find more information on these rituals that I'm about to tell you about, and how they're actually performed and what they would actually look like. It was really difficult to find information on that. So if you are a practicing Satanist or a member of the Satanic Temple who might know a bit more about the rituals I'm about to talk about, please let me know, because I would really love to know more. Alright, so yeah, you're no more or less a Satanist because you perform these rituals or not, or because you perform rituals at all. It doesn't really matter. Your Satanism is your own thing. So the first one and most popular one is called a Black Mass, which is basically the celebration of blasphemy. It can be an expression of personal liberty and freedom. This can also look particularly offensive. There might be nudity and symbols that make certain types of people unpleasant. But there's still no blood sacrifice or anything evil like that. It's mostly just a celebration of human nature and the things that we have been taught to be ashamed of, rather. There's also an unbaptism. A lot of people who were forced to be baptized or were baptized by choice but have throughout their life discovered that the Christian path is not for them. They feel they want an unbaptism to kind of almost do the same thing the baptism did, to kind of push them into that religion that much more and to cleanse them and free them of the things they had in their past and to really push them into this new time in their life. Participants renounce superstitions that they may have had and have been imposed upon them as a child without consent, because that does oftentimes happen, and people think that just because you're raising your child to follow your religion, I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you have to keep that window open and remind them that there are other options out there, and it's okay to be interested, and definitely it's okay to choose those other options. So yeah, the unbaptism is kind of just a cleansing process that many Satanists like to take. I mean, even if you weren't baptized, you still may feel you want an unbaptism. And I'm sure that can apply for just pagans in general. This next one is called a destruction ritual. Participants destroy an object they own that symbolizes a source of pain in their life. So, you know, it could be maybe you just got out of a toxic relationship or just a painful long relationship. Whether it's an intimate one or a friendship or a family member even. Or maybe it wasn't a relationship at all. Maybe it was something that you had going on with yourself, some kind of, I don't know, an addiction that was blocking you from doing something. Maybe it's alcoholism. And you have an item that basically connects you to that trauma and to that pain. Whether it would be a bottle of alcohol or something that your past lover gave to you, you would have to physically break that item, and before you do so, really infuse it with all of those feelings and all of that negative energy tied to that item and tied to that time in your life, and destroy it and just kind of get it all out. The last one that is talked about on their website that I found any kind of information on was the Defiance Ritual, which is a pledge to challenge the status quo in a way that is personally meaningful. So for me, I really find a lot of things on social media to be very problematic, a lot of things that celebrities are doing to be problematic, just things that are in general popular. And many, many Satanists feel this way, that things that are popular are programmed. And they're put there for a reason, and it's trying to kind of twist your brain into whatever the elitist group want it to be. So in doing this Defiance Ritual, you are purposefully distancing yourself from the herd conformity and allowing yourself to think freely and make your own decisions on what you're actually interested in. And in that, I do find so many similarities with the Satanic Church already, because they're all about anti-herd conformity. You know, you have to distance yourself from the popular norm. But it's actually kind of common that these two groups do not get along with each other. I actually think that kind of all of the Satanist group don't really get along with each other, and that doesn't go for every Satanist in each of these groups are going to hate one or the other. Just the groups as a whole disagree with the other and find that the other is modifying their version of Satanism, which is different from, what another person believes. And it's just that kind of silly drama. But the Satanic Temple makes a point to say that they are not humanists, and a unifying attribute in Satanism is our embrace of our outsider status. Individual sovereignty and rejection of tyrannical authorities are paramount concerns and are not in humanism. So, let me read that again. So Satanism really embraced the fact that they are unaccepted in their society, which a lot of people can think is silly. And I mean, it can be. You can look at it that way if you really want to. But to me, it is like people who truly do see themselves as outsiders. And I have always seen myself as an outsider. I've never really felt truly accepted anywhere I've been. And it being able to acknowledge that and kind of put yourself in that group, as your, almost in a moral way, because you do morally feel different than a vast majority of this global population, it makes us easier to find. Not everyone is going to be willing to wear a pentagram around their neck, and those people who are, it makes it easier to find them, I guess. And of course, there's this whole witchy aesthetic craze that's been going on the past year or so, probably longer, I don't know. It's only really been bothering me the past year or so, I guess. But I'm not getting into that today. So really embracing an outsider status. And the Satanic Temple, this is kind of a thing that I like, is they don't want to fight with anybody. I would say the Satanic Temple was the only group that was like, you guys can have your own versions of Satanism, we have our own version, we aren't trying to make our version the sole the sole arbiter of satanic practice. They're open to working with other satanic organizations to promote general recognition of satanic legitimacy. The Satanic Temple eschews rigid, centralized authority and focuses on effecting tangible, constructive change. Build a politically active satanic movement. That's their goal. They've actually made changes. They were able to build a statue in a government facility. I'm not sure where off the top of my head. I think it's somewhere in Texas. It'll be right there. Boom, boom, boom. But basically there was a statue of Jesus or some godly statue, and they were like, hey, this is religious discrimination if you don't allow us to build a statue here. And now there's a statue of Baphomet in a government building. So that's pretty cool. I should probably talk about I was about to compare the two, but I should probably talk about the Satanic Church before I compare those two. Oh my gosh. I knew that because I always call it the Satanic Church and the Satanic Temple, but it's the Church of Satan. Sorry guys. Okay, Church of Satan. I won't mess up again, I promise. The Church of Satan was founded by Anton Szandor LaVey on April 30th, 1966. It was the first above ground or publicly known and publicly acknowledged group of actual legitimate Satanists. And for them, Satan is also a symbol. It represents it's a symbol that best suits nature of who we are and the carnal at birth. He represents pride, liberty, and individualism. Anton LaVey felt that man, especially religious, is consistently at war with his own mind and his own emotions. He created God because our species cannot accept or control their personal egos, feeling compelled to conjure up one or more characters who can act without hindrance or guilt upon whims or desires. Worshipping a god is worshipping by proxy the creator. Satanists understand all gods are fictions, so he places him or herself at the center of him or her self-own universe. So you are your own god. You are your own creator. Obviously your parents created you, but you create your own reality. You manifest your own reality. Everything you want, you will go get. You will conquer. We can offer love to those who deserve it and deliver our wrath upon those who seek to cause us harm. Anton LaVey created some key elements many members adhere to. They are the 9 Satanic Statements, the 11 Satanic Rules of the Earth, the 9 Satanic Sins, Pentagonal Revision, and the Sigil of Baphomet. I have covered the first 3 previously in my last video, so I'm just going to jump right into Pentagonal Revision. Every revisionist movement needs a set of goals or guidelines that are clear and concrete and that will affect significant changes. There's a 5-point program that reflects attitude, which allows others to decide whether they wish to align themselves with Satanism or not. And this actually does get a bit complicated to me. I don't quite understand this, but I'm going to read it to you as I read it. And it's kind of one of those things that you're gonna have to read a couple times. I've read it a couple times and I kind of understand it, but it's hard for me to explain it, I guess. So the first one is stratification. There can be no more myth of equality for all. It only translates to mediocrity and supports the weak at the expense of the strong. I think that kind of it's like kind of a socialist mentality, you know, one for all, not all for one. 2, strict taxation of all churches. If churches were taxed for all the income and property, they'd crumble overnight of their own obsolescence, and national debt would be wiped out just as quickly. The productive and creative resourceful should be subsidized so long as the useless and incompetent are getting paid. They should be heavily taxed. I agree with that because I don't really understand why churches are not taxed. 3, no tolerance for religious beliefs secularized and incorporated into law and order. Issues to reestablish lex talionis would require a complete overturning of the present injustice system based on Judeo-Christian ideals, where the victim defender has been the criminal. Amnesty should be considered for anyone in prison because of his alleged influence upon the actual perpetrator of the crime. Everyone is influenced in what they do. Scapegoating has become a way of life, a means of survival for the unit. As an extension of the Judeo-Christian cop-out for blaming the devil for everything, criminals can gain leniency, even praise, by placing the blame on a convenient villain, following the satanic creed of responsibility to the responsible. In a satanic society, everyone must experience consequences for his or her own actions, good or ill. 4, development and production of artificial human companions, the forbidden industry, an economic godsend which will allow everyone power over someone else. Polite, sophisticated, technologically feasible slavery, and the most profitable industry since TV and the computer, which some people could argue are technological slaves. I totally think that we have gone too far with AI, and I think that we're definitely going to be taken over by robots one day. 5, the opportunity for anyone to live within a total environment of his or her own choice with mandatory adherence to aesthetic and behavioral standards of same privately owned and operated and controlled environments as an alternative to homogenized polyglot ones. See, that one goes right over my head. Oh, and I think it keeps going. The freedom to insularize oneself within a social milieu of personal well-being, an opportunity to feel, see, and hear that which is most aesthetically pleasing without interference from those who would pollute and detract from that option. So I guess just being able to have the freedom to create your perfect world as you see fit. But I don't see how that could actually be any kind of legitimacy. But I have heard of people making mind altars where you literally can transform how you look, what your altar looks like, where you are. You can make it whatever you want, and that I could see where number 5 might tie in, because you can literally change every bit of aesthetic, everything to exactly your style, how you see fit in your mind, but it's not a physical thing. The Sigil of Baphomet, I'll put it somewhere here-ish, maybe over the whole screen. I don't know. You're probably familiar with it if you're watching my videos, but the Sigil of Baphomet was not created by the Church of Satan or Anton LaVey, but it did become associated after 1966, when Anton LaVey began using it and associating it with said religion. Today, it remains the foremost symbol in Satanism. The word Baphomet dates back to records of Templar trials, and there are ongoing discussions concerning its derivation and meaning. I also believe that the words that are around, or the letters that are around the Sigil of Baphomet, spell out Leviathan in the Hebrew language. So that was literally only the tiniest glimpse into both of those religions. I tried to kind of get them all, together and quick for you guys. And so now I'm gonna kind of bounce back and forth, comparing the two as fast as I can, because I told you guys this video would be shorter. It's totally not that much shorter. So the Satanic Temple was founded in 2013. Church of Satan was founded in 1966. The Satanic Temple was founded by Lucien Greaves and Malcolm Jerry, and the Church of Satan was founded by Anton Szandor LaVey. Neither of them actually believe in a Satan. The Satanic Temple does not believe in actual magic, but the Church of Satan does believe in actual magic. The Satanic Temple does not have an actual Bible, but does have a vast literary canon. The Satanic Bible, and honestly anything written by Anton Szandor LaVey, is pretty much satanic literature. The Satanic Temple is a non-theistic movement, science, research-based religion, anti-arbitrary authority and archaic traditions, and pro-critical thinking, and an eternal rebellion. And then all I wrote for Church of Satan is there's a heavy emphasis on aesthetics, which is true. And definitely a rebelling of the social norms. And they don't really like each other. I think that the Church of Satan doesn't like the Satanic Temple more than the Satanic Temple doesn't like the Church of Satan. But I'm not a member of either, and I know a couple of people in the Satanic Temple, but I don't really know anyone in the Church of Satan. So if you guys have any more insight, I would really love to know. And I'm going to quickly talk about the other two groups that I know about and was able to find information about, which is the Joy of Satan and the Temple of Set. Now, these are two theistic Satanist groups. The Joy of Satan looks to Satan as the true creator of Satanism, and they feel that other religions have spoken for Satan for so long, and this religion allows him to finally speak for himself. They do see him as a real being, however, he does not fit the Judeo-Christian descriptions, and he doesn't even fit the Anton LaVey descriptions. Once one gets to know him, they understand he doesn't conform to this or that denomination's understanding of evil. He will never be evil or good. He's both. He fluctuates in this understanding of Satan. The Joy of Satan does not recognize Judaism, Islam, or Christianity as legitimate religions, as they have heavily plagiarized as well as replaced spiritual knowledge with lies and corruptions for years and years and years and years and years. I'm not saying I don't see them as legitimate religions. I think anything can be a religion if you say that it's your religion. But that is just what this group of Satanists believe. Their objectives are to enlighten people and expose lies of recent younger so-called religions, and they believe that they are the true version of Satanism, and that they believe that true Satanism is based on knowledge, and to find the truth you must study, which is a common idea in other groups of Satanism. You always have to study, you always have to find your own truth. Then the next one is the Temple of Set, and the Temple of Set seeks above all to honor and enshrine consciousness. We wish to apprehend what makes us individually unique and use the gift to strengthen ourselves. The left-handed path is a process for creating an individual, powerful essence that exists above and beyond life. A couple of points that are pretty important in the Temple of Set are antinomianism. The value of the masses must be recognized as an obstacle for individual spiritual development. And they're rebelling against more than just a god. A lot of the times, I think that group thought can totally get in the way of individual growth, especially if it is spiritual growth. Individuality is also very important. You yourself must do so, again, with wisdom rather than emotion. And you shouldn't act on impulse. You should always take the time to calm down and think things through. Control. You should have a strong personal discipline in this chaotic world. Black magic. Black magic focuses on self-determined goals. My will be done, as opposed to the white magic, thy will be done. Take full responsibility for one's actions, evolutions, and effectiveness. It allows you to be your own god rather than pray to one, because you are specifically searching out things to benefit yourself, rather than praying and waiting. You're actually taking the action into your own hands. And then Set is the oldest prince of darkness. He's an Egyptian god, and he's more complex than Christianity's Satanism, or than Christianity's Satan. He represents expanding borders, radical changes, birth, initiation, death in battle, and rebirth. So there are so many different moving aspects about Satanism, and there are so many different schools of thought, and atheist Satanists and theistic Satanists, and I mean, it's almost as big of an umbrella as Christianity, and not everybody gets along, not everybody agrees, but I always say you should just believe what you believe and let everybody else believe whatever they want to believe. I've been wanting to record this for so long, and I've just been trying to compile as much information as I can. I really hope I did it justice. I definitely did not cover everything. This was merely a glimpse into these groups, and I did not mean to disrespect anybody, and if I did say anything wrong, or you disagree with anything I said, please let me know. And again, remember that it's all kind of up in the air because every other source will disagree with each other. So this is what I was able to find, and definitely take what I said and do your own research with it. Yeah, and I hope that you guys enjoyed learning a little bit more about Satanism. I don't think my next video will be specifically about Satanism. I kind of want to do an altar tour of what's going on behind me, and I actually have a full altar room that I would love to share with you guys. Okay, I think I've been going on long enough. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for watching.